I'm going to take the time to explain this. If you don't understand this very well, we cannot continue to the next of what we are coming to talk about. This is an entire universe. Okay? When I talk about an entire universe, I'm talking about the entire collectivity of what an entire domain is about. Okay? The way in which you look at the picture that I just posted right now, they showed you that there's a particular world like this, and then it is covered by the ice wall, and there's another world behind that particular world covered by another ice wall. Then there's another world outside of that world covered by another ice wall. Okay? I'm not coming to talk to them in detail form. I'm coming to explain things very simply for you to understand what this particular representation is talking about as an entire universe. Okay? This is an entire universe. Okay? And I made it very clear. Every single thing is about the eye. The eye be single, the entire body shall be filled with light. This is the eye. Okay? The eye be singled. When the two eyes becomes one, when the two separate portions of yourself, the east or the 6, and then the west or the 9 becomes one, then the entire body shall be filled with light. This particular center part of yourself, okay, is the one that is causing the entire body to be filled with light. But this particular aspect part of yourself is what represents Earth, okay? Earth is just one particular dimension in an entire universe. One particular dimension within an entire universe, experiencing things in 3D, in three-dimensional view. Okay, we'll get to that. So this part of yourself is what represents the Earth. So the light of the world, whenever light is sucked into your eyeball, what it does is that it goes all the way, okay, to your meridian line. The light goes interpreted, or it goes all the way to your meridian line. Your meridian line serves as a semi-permeable membrane. When I talk about a semi-permeable membrane, I'm talking about a filter. The one thing that filters the information. When the light sucks in, when your eye sucks in the light, your eye doesn't know that this is what I'm talking, or this is what I'm seeing, or this is what I'm tasting, or this is what looks like this, okay? The only way that it understands that is by the middle part of yourself. And I made it very clear that this particular part of yourself represents unity, or the center through which the interpretation of every form of yourself as time, okay? Every form of yourself as time gets interpreted. The 12, the 1, the 2s, the 3s, the 4s, the 5s, the 6. Every single one of these takes their information from the middle part. So the middle part of yourself here is what represents the pineal gland. The middle part of yourself here is what represents the eye. The middle part of yourself here represents Sophia. The middle part of yourself here is what interprets the information for the physical body to be able to know what physical reality is about. Do you understand this? So whenever light is sucked into the eye, it gets to this particular point, and because Sophia is the pure light, the one that is born out of Abraxas, Abraxas is the darkness. And I made it very clear that this part of yourself is the south, and this part of yourself is the north. Whatever that you take into your mouth, okay, goes inside of your stomach to be digested, and then it goes out of the south pole. So whatever that you suck in as light, okay, it travels in a particular direct manner into the middle, and this particular middle takes the information that it understood about Abraxas, or the darkness. Okay? The one in the middle takes the information from the darkness. Every single connecting point of the darkness. So all these are information about yourself. So what the light does is that it takes this particular information, whether be that it is red, whether be that it is green, whether be that it is blue, all these, okay, are different forms that light interprets itself. So when it takes this particular information, it brings it back to the middle, and then it broadcasts it to this part of yourself. Okay? Sophia takes the message and then she broadcasts it to this particular part of yourself. This particular part of yourself is what interprets color. It's what interprets this color. After it has received the information about what this particular single light is, And then it is interpreting that particular line. Whether it is blue, then you will see blue. Whether it is green, then you will see green. Whether it is red and then blue, you are seeing red and then blue. Is this understandable? Okay, so that particular part of yourself is the one that represents here. Okay, the first point is the first ice wall. That is this one. Okay, this is Earth. This is Earth. You people are actually always seeing that if this is so, if this is Earth, then why is it that the planes are flying and then they never get to the dome, or they are supposed to be touching the dome? You don't understand the deepest context of what this particular Earth is. This particular dimension that you call Earth, okay? This particular dimension that you call Earth, I'm going to pick it and we are going to shred it. We are going to open it, and then I will explain the connections of the continents as in relation to this particular point of self. So that if you are able to understand Earth as this particular part, then you'll be able to grasp the outward universes that exist outside of this particular world as the second ice wall, as this one. Okay, and when you understand that, then we'll move to the third one. Then you understand this too, because it's always straight here, like this, and then the down here is reflected the same way. The down here is reflected the same way. 3 walls up, 3 walls down, different dimensions, all of it existing within one particular universe. Okay, so let's go there and then make this explanation very simple. We are going to pick only Earth, this eye. That eye be singled. When you look at it, it looks exactly like the eye of Horus. It looks exactly the same thing that I was trying to explain the other time. Okay, that is the same thing. So we are picking this particular thing and we are going to explain it in a larger form. So when you take a look at the picture that I post, okay, that is an eyeball. The eyeball that is facing you directly. The first part of the eyeball is this part. Okay, the darkness part is in the middle. The darkness part is in the middle. When you look at the eyeball, the darkness part is in the middle. From that darkness part, you come to the part that interprets the color. The part that has so much, okay, frequencies or lenses that is able to interpret what color is. That is this part, okay? That is the second part of the eye. The third part of the eye is the white part of the eye. The entire part of the eye that is white. That is counting part of the third one. Okay, the third aspect part of the eye. So when you are looking at the eye and you are looking at this particular map of the worlds or the known worlds of Earth and the unknown worlds that exist outside of Earth. When you look at this and you look at the Adinkra symbol of your protons, your electrons, and then your neutrons. When you look at this and you existing in a three-dimensional plane, the soul, the body, and then the mind, or the fire, the water, and then the earth, all of it, is all three particular forms. You are existing in a three-dimensional plane. You are existing as the mind, okay? You are existing as the soul, and you are existing as the body, okay? As the north, the south, and then the east, okay? And the west, all of it, this is three. One here, one in the middle, one in the end, okay? The same thing to the top, the same thing to the middle, and the same thing down here. Okay, so this is a box. This is one particular box. This is an entire box. Okay, this is an entire box. So if you are living on Earth, you are living on a three-dimensional plane. A three-dimensional plane because if you divide this particular box, you are going to get two different angles, two different triangles like this. Okay. If you divide the box into two, you are going to be getting two different angles like this. So we are coming to pick this, okay? I am going to explain one dimension. I'm going to explain two dimension. I'm going to explain three dimension. But it involves a little amount of calculations to each of them, okay? It involves a little amount of calculation. So I will just roughly show you, and after that we can get into Earth. Then I will show you the layers of the continents, and then we can begin from there, okay? This is calculation. So I drew these three things, okay? These are what you call a three-dimensional representation of the reality of what Earth is. A three-dimensional representation of what this Earth, only this part, okay? Only this part of the Earth, only this part of the universe is, okay? A three-dimensional plane. When you look at how three-dimensional is, I told you, it is three lines. The first line is always from the top to the middle or from the top to the down there, which is making it a particular vertical line. So this is the vertical component of it. So it's like this. Okay? This is the vertical component of one dimension. When you are talking about the other dimension, which is the two parts of the angles, one moving from east to west, or from one moving from west to east, or from north to south, this is exactly what it is. One is a vertical component and the other is a horizontal. We have vertical, which is straight, and we have horizontal, who crosses like this. From the east to the west is a horizontal line. From the north to the south is a vertical line. So this is a horizontal line. Okay, that makes it two-dimensional. When you are talking about three dimension, then you are talking about another form of representation of the same particular line that is in resonance with the 12 components of yourself. So when you look at this particular thing, I've already shown you the plus, okay, and then the multiplication. These are two things. That is representing the vertical component of yourself and then the horizontal component of yourself. When you come to the x part, the x is horizontal, is diagonal, okay? The x is diagonal. Let me clean here. The x part of it is the diagonal component, which is the last part. And we are talking about diagonal, you are talking about how tilted things are, okay? Three-dimensional plane, there is three lines. One line, two line, and then three line. That is an angle. That is a triangle. I made it very clear. Triangle, one triangle facing the upper top, and one angle facing the lower third. Okay? There are two triangles in one particular box. This is an entire box. When you look at this, this is an entire box. Okay? This is an entire box, and within that particular box, when you divide that particular box into two, you are getting two separate angles, one angle facing the top and one angle facing the down. That is three-dimensional plane. One dimension, two dimension, three dimension, one particular thing that represents all three. When you look at the middle, this is the middle part of it. That is one dimension. That is this. Okay, it involves a lot of calculation. So I just want to just brush through. I'm not going to calculate it. I'm just going to use it to explain the earth, the various layers of your ozone layers, your continents, and when you begin to understand things in a deeper manner, and we can actually do the calculations, okay? So this is the parallel form. This is the vertical and then the horizontal. These particular lines, when you draw your 12-hour clock, it's a box. So when you remove this particular box and then you put it here, you'll get the same box. Okay? This is your 12, your 11, your 12, your 13th. I'll tell you why it is 13th and not 1. Because if you represent it as 1, you will not understand the leap year. There are 28 days in every moon cycle. Okay, so 28 days will give you 13 moon cycles. So when you are calculating it at a 12 moon cycle, you will not understand the clearest picture. So you need to add the 13. That is why I put either 1 or 13. Okay, we'll calculate everything. So when you look at the top, there is 11, there is 12, and then there is 13. And then there is 2 here, there is 3, and then there is 4. There's 5, there's 6, there's 7, there's 8, there's 9, and then there's 10. You are back to 11 again. So 11 is in correspondence vertically with the number 7. Okay? 11 is in direct correspondence with the number 7. 12 is in the direct correspondence with the number 6. 13 is in the direct correspondence with the number 5. 8 is in direct correspondence with 4. 9 is in direct correspondence with 3. 10 is in direct correspondence with 2. Okay, that is how you calculate the horizontal and then the vertical aspect of what three-dimensional plane is. Okay, that is how you calculate how three-dimensional plane of objects in this particular world that you call Earth is. Okay, so when you go to the next one, you go to the diagonal aspect, and diagonal has two different reflections or two different representations. We have a diagonal that moves at the left like this, from the north all the way to the west. Okay, this is a diagonal line. This is diagonal, this angle moving all the way from the north all the way to the west. That is what diagonal. It will move the same way from the north all the way to the east. That is another diagonal. So diagonal can move left, can move right. Do you understand? I told you the way in which color or the way in which light is reflected on. This is your eye. Okay? This is your eye. Out of the darkness, out of Abraxas came Sophia. Sophia is the two diagonal lines. Sophia represents the two diagonal lines. The diagonal lines represent dimensions, the way in which you can view dimension, be it of a width, okay, or be it of a length or width, devil and angel, demons and deviants. That is how it is. Left and then right, blinking and then closing your eyes. Okay, so Sophia here, Abraxas, is the one that deals with the darkness. Okay, the darkness from through which everything came into being. And from that particular darkness came the projection of the V. The V, whether you are viewing it from the east all the way to the west, is the same thing. From here, you get a particular V that is representing this. When you go to the top, you get a particular V that is representing this. When you go here, you get a particular V that is representing this. When you come here, you get a particular V that is representing this. Okay, so all this is taking information from the middle. All of them represent Sophia. All of them represents the middle. The middle aspect point of yourself is the pineal gland. The middle aspect point of yourself is what is interpreting every form of information for the 1, which is here, for the 2, for the 3, for the 4, for the 5, for the 6, for the 7. So Sophia is in the middle. Sophia becomes the missing code of your DNA, the part of yourself that you need to be seeking, the wisdom content of what the middle is. That is who Sophia is. Sophia is your DNA. Okay? Sophia is the one thing that activates your DNA fully. And I made it very clear. When it comes to the middle representation of yourself, that is what carbon is. Okay? I made it very clear. Most of you don't understand the completeness of what carbon is. Carbon, I want you to just take a deeper look into carbon. Carbon is the only element that can form 4 particular covalent bonds that has a very stable structure. Okay? 4 particular covalent bonds. 1, 2, 3, 4. North, south, east, and west. Carbon is in the middle. Do you understand? Carbon is in the middle. And if you look at its atomic structure, it's the atomic structure of 6. And I made it very clear. 6 here, 9 here, they are all one and then the same thing. They are all meeting up to the point that is known as 8. 3 on top, 3 down here, they are all meeting up on the middle, which is 8. So whether you are calculating it from a vertical point or you are calculating from a horizontal point, you are going to arrive at the same point as 8 in the middle. You are going to arrive at the same point as the wisdom or the part of yourself that is able to bond completely with emotion. Okay, so Sophia here doesn't mind whether you are dealing with, you are working so hard in your awakening or you are not working so hard in your awakening. As long as you are able to find a particular balance between your 9 and then your 6 or your 6 and then your 9 or the aspect part of yourself that represents the 3-dimensional plane, which is 1 dimension, 2 dimension, and 3 dimension, the 3 various part of the dimensions that we are explaining here, then you can be able to bond completely with the knowledge of the upper worlds, the knowledge of the worlds that exist outside of this particular world, and the knowledge that exists outside of this particular entire universe. Okay, she's the only one that can tell you about every other world that comes after Earth. I told you, Earth is just one particular island. We are coming to open that. But when you move out of Earth, you get into another world. Okay, just like I was explaining. Okay, the black spot here, Earth is here. Okay, Earth is here. When you move out of Earth, you are going to get to another ice wall representing another universe. When you get to that particular universe, there's another universe outside of that particular universe representing another world. So all these particular 3 worlds is what is encompassing what you call a universe. A universe is an entire eyeball of yourself. The entirety of what the globe is an entire universe. That is not Earth. Earth is only this particular part of yourself. Okay, so when you are able to understand these three components of yourself, as the protons, as the neutrons, and then as the electrons, as the what is the as the representation of what balance is, then you are able to receive information, transmissions from every other world that exists here, because all of them, they are always operating at frequency. They keep broadcasting information. They keep broadcasting frequencies every time, like the way you and I, we are here, we are talking. I am speaking and you are listening. I am broadcasting information the same way that they are broadcasting information. But when it comes to the neural link, when it comes to our connection inside of our own minds, when it comes to our connection with everything that exists, this is the mind. This is the mind. The mind is the completeness of what an entire universe is. That is what your mind is. Divine feminine on this side, divine masculine on this side, positive on this side, negative on this side, angel on this side, devil on this side. That is how our mind is. Okay, as the spirit, we have no gender, but immediately you condense, you pick a particular form. I explained this countlessly. Okay, so this is our entirety of the mind. So for you to have any knowledge of what every single neuron transmission inside your mind is, you first of all have to have an understanding of what the middle is. So when you look at this particular line, when you are calculating it from the point that is representing diagonally to the right, okay, then it's 13 maps to 2, 12 maps to 3, 11 maps to 4, and then 10 maps to 5, 9 maps to 6, and then 8 maps to 7. All these, when you are calculating it, they are going to arrive at one particular single point, explaining the entire reality of how existence came into being, how people are able to use these particular three codes. Okay, when you put these three codes together, you will get the entirety of what you are as the brain. Do you understand? These are three separate codes. Are three separate formulas: your electrons, your protons, and then your neutrons. The middle, the electrons, the protons, and the neutrons. The electrons, the protons, and the neutrons in the middle. When you combine all these three things, you are going to form a humongous one particular box that is explaining the entirety of what the cube is. The cube isn't what you go to Mecca to go and then worship. No, 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 no. The cube exists inside of your own self. The cube to activation, the black cube here that needs you to awaken, the black cube of what represents melanin, the black cube of what carbon is. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay? Okay, so when you are calculating from the right all the way down diagonally, you are going to get this particular calculation. 8 is always in the middle, okay? Never forget this. 8 is always in the middle. It doesn't mind if you are calculating vertically, if you are calculating horizontally. If you miss out on the genetic code of what the middle is as the 8, you will not understand the fullest picture. When you are calculating it all the way from diagonally, from the left part of yourself, all the way from the north to the east, then you are also going to end up getting 11 mapping up with 10, and then 12 mapping up with 9, 13 mapping up with 8, 2 mapping up with 7, 3 mapping up with 6, and 4 mapping up with 5. Okay? You are going to get them like that. All of them, they are evolving around this particular formula. It's all three things. Okay? You have to calculate this universe in a horizontal manner, which is either a reflection of the right or the left part of you, and you are going to calculate it vertically. Okay, which is the plus part of you, the one that is separating the north from the south, and then you are going to be able to understand it horizontally as the plane of existence through which you are experiencing reality. Okay, so when you are always looking at this triangle, the triangle, you are trying to understand, or you are speaking about everything from the side of creation itself. That is why the Illuminati, they always place the eye on top there, or they are placing the eye in the middle. Either way that you place the eye, you are talking about Earth. This is Earth. When you look at this, okay, let me just make it simply. Look at this. This is 3. These are 3 lines, right? Okay, so let me just do something like this, and then do something like this, and then come and do something like this, and do something like that. Doesn't this look like exactly like your eye? Okay, doesn't this look exactly just like the way your eye looks? What is the difference between this particular drawing and then your eye? They are all the same thing. Okay, the part of yourself that is black, the part of yourself that interprets color, the part of yourself that is white. That is the entirety of the eye. That is the entirety of what Earth is. So I'm going to save these calculations for now. Okay, and when we open the earth and then I explain the earth to you, understanding that you are beginning to grasp, we are going to add all these 3 points into one particular aspect, and then you understand the complete picture. But for now, let's go back and then we pick earth and then we explain that one too.